Hey, okay, this is an updated campaign video. So if you've been here or watched the video, please watch this one. Excuse me. Not gonna restart. First of all, if you are from my community or my social media, totally watch this video. But I have another video down for you down below. And if you're feeling like connected in with Nick and you're wanting to give back to him and do that, that's amazing. And this is a perfect place for you. But otherwise, if you're like specifically from my social media and wanting to support and connect in with me, please go see the other video. This is for the friends of Nick Anderson, who would be my husband. Hi, I'm the rando that he married seemingly out of nowhere. But Nick and I'm actually doing this video as like Nick's friend. So Nick and I were friends for 10 years before we got back together and got married. And it's really from like that space and that energy that this is kind of like intuitively come to me. And it's from this picture, it's posted in the GoFundMe, from this picture I saw of our son just, I think it was actually the first day he went back to work. And it's the first day that he's holding both of our boys together. And he looks so happy, but he also looks so burnt out. And like it crushed me. And Nick, just if you're friends with Nick, I don't have to explain this to you, but if he gives you any part of himself, you get something really real. And it comes from a really like soul place. And he wants nothing more right now than to be at home with his boys and to get to know Fourth, who turns a month old tomorrow. He was only able to spend a week at home before going back to work. And Rowan, our 18-month-old, has had a pretty hard time with the transition because we've also moved and family was here and out helping, and it's just kind of be this big thing. And Ro admittedly doesn't super like mom a whole lot these days. Since he's figured out baby staying, we're getting reacquainted and things are getting better, but like dad is his numero uno. And I know it's really hard for Nick to get up in the mornings and leave, especially like on days that I'm sick or things like that. So I posted kind of a story in the GoFundMe about this rare genetic condition I was diagnosed with at the beginning of 2006. But it's not about that, and it's not about like me and getting Nick home because of that. It's about Nick getting to be on paternity leave simply because he's a dad, and the fact that we don't have maternity care or paternity care in the US is bullshit. And he really deserves it, and he just in general like deserves a break and a vacation. And every time I try and ask him like what he wants or like probe into just kind of where he's at, it all comes down to like this stress over wanting to be here and be a part of his family and simultaneously like taking care of us and supporting us. And when I ask him like, where do you want to be a year from now, he's like, I just want things to be settled down and stable. And his whole life has been like this roller coaster, and I just want to get him off the damn ride. And this like GoFundMe came up because I know so many stories about people, friends whose like rent he's helped pay. Or I love this story about going through a GoFundMe and finding this group of school kids who had qualified for a competition and they hadn't made the money, and it was like the day before it ended. And so he was single, bachelor life, doing his frolic around the world thing, and he was able to send him the $5,000 for them to be able to go. And he's also got friends that he gave a week honeymoon to for a wedding gift. And I know these stories not because he like is any sort of bragging or anything. I know them because he tells them with this like real sense of pride and humility in having the opportunity to get to like connect in with the people he cares about and give to them in that way. Nick's love language is acts of service. And so for him, he's just so insanely giving. But for him, like going to work, he explained it to me this way, like going to work and the time and service and energy spent into that money made and being brought home, and then getting to like give it and support his friends and do these gifts or grand gestures or just take care of people when they were struggling, for him is a real act of service to get to do that. And he feels so like fulfilled by that. And I knew that as his friend, if I knew there was something, even just like if you've ever gotten a message from Nick when life is just really hard and overwhelming and everybody else just says a bunch of dumb things and you just need somebody to bring like the human and normalcy to what you're struggling through, and Nick has ever sent you a message, now being married to him and having received some of those myself over 10 years, now being married to him and watched how that is this like several hours process where he'll sit down and write something and then come back and add to it and go through and proofread it and make sure that he's really conscious and clear on what he's saying so that you can be like the most supported that you can be, is a really incredible thing to see. And as his friend, if I knew that I were in a position to help him in some way and give back to him in some way, even if it was just sending one of those messages that said, hey, like you mean something and thank you for what you've done for me, or exchanging your coffee this week to send some money over this way, or maybe you're in an entirely different circumstance and you're one of those people who was helped in one of those really big, significant financial ways and you're in a different circumstance and you can give back to him the same. Like whatever it is, I knew that as his friend, if I didn't know, that I would be pissed. And the other thing is that he really, especially in the last 3 years, not only is he like a husband and a dad and excels and is really, really incredible at both of those, but because of this condition I was diagnosed with, and then our 2 back-to-back pregnancies and just a bunch of like crazy complications, he is really like my full-time caregiver on top of it. And there's days that I get sick and I can't get out of bed and he picks everything up. And currently being a month postpartum, I'm mostly housebound. And we've had a lot of help from family and friends, but like I'm not strong enough to take care of our 2 boys alone, and I've been doing it, but what happens is everything else falls on Nick's lap. So he's doing like the errands and a majority of the house cleaning and just so much, and he needs a freaking break. And so I am asking for you guys to help me in giving that to him. At the same time, again, if you're from my community, I have set up, I'm create content on social media, and I'm also a virtual wellness coach and do spiritual mentoring, and I will be going back to work really part-time in May and June, and like going back to work part-time because I get to work from home. And so that's something I'm doing on my side, and Nick and I have talked about that, like if he comes home then he gets to help me to do that too, so we can like bring that income on that side coming back in. But what this is for is to cover the living expenses that we would need for Nick to be able to take a 6-week break for paternity leave, and it would be the missed wages that he wouldn't have. So we made a job change in the middle of our pregnancy, and he was only able to build up a week of sick pay, like time off vacation, before the baby was born. So yeah, that's what this is. And I know he has the most amazing community out there. And the other thing, guys, is he like hasn't really been hooked in with his community in the last 3 years. And like, I want him to really have that, and I think he really needs it in terms of like support and transition, and he is so much something to us, like he fulfills this role, and like having that outside community in his life external to us is like a reminder of who he is by himself, and I want to really bring that back into his life. So yeah, that's what I'm asking for. And at the same time, that puts me in a better space to be able to focus on healing my body, where he doesn't have to carry my weight anymore. And that's the ultimate goal. So yeah, if you could please share this with Nick's other support system, who I don't know who to get connected in with. If all that comes out of this is you sending him a message, maybe you do the coffee, maybe it's something bigger. Comment something creatively, like sending him a card in the mail if you want our address, just kind of anything to refill the man's cup and give him some love, because I know he's done so much for all of us. So I want to say thank you for helping me to help him, and for being here and for being part of his life to make him the man he is now, that I am honored to get to have humans and be married to. And I fell in love with him when he was 22, living in this like pretty gross basement apartment and working, getting paid in beer and weed, and pretty consistently on some sort of substance abuse. And so just to see what he's grown and created himself into, and knowing how much the interactions with the people that he loves has really helped to shape that and inspire that and motivate that, for that I really have to say thank you, because I wake up on a regular basis, or we'll be like in a movie theater or driving in the car, and I look over at him and I'm like taken aback by how lucky I am that he's sitting next to me, and that it all came back around, and that I get to be a part of this person that he worked so hard to create himself to be. So thank you for whatever part you had in that for me. If you're from my community, you can go watch the other video. That's other ways you can connect and support. And I would rather my people go there and do that than like just drop in here in this GoFundMe. And if you have any questions, send them to me. And I love you guys. And I'm really excited to see where this goes, and who Nick gets to connect back in with it. And I'll keep you updated and post a lot of pictures and cheesy videos and story things. So thanks.